What's up guys, my name is Sam, and today I'm going to take a look at the best things to do while visiting Rome, Italy. I want to show you around. Pantheon. I'm starting here at the Roman Pantheon. This building has been here since 609 AD. It was a former Roman temple for the Catholic Church here in Rome, a very old building. When it was originally built is unknown, but you'll notice that right in the middle there's an oculus, and it's said that when it was commissioned, the oculus was there to allow people in the temple to be in direct contact with the heavens. Pantheon in Greek actually means dedicated to all the gods, and before it was a Catholic temple, it was a church for all the gods. And when in Rome, your Italian cuisine absolutely have to do what the Romans do and eat like a Roman, which is Italian food here and there. There's gonna be a lot of different very popular pasta carbonara, porchetta, here. Also, there's going to be a number of different seafood that you get here. Shrimp. Obviously Rome is about 45 to 50 minutes from the coast, which allows them to still get fresh seafood. Even if they're landlocked, they will also have different kinds of gelato. You have fresh bread for pizza. So much food here in Rome, a lot of fresh produce, from oranges and citrus fruits to the fresh vegetables that you also find. Navona. And this particular piazza is actually very famous because of the Barber Oak Piazza, which is also known for several masterpieces of art by artists such as Bernini and Bratan, which means it also has beautiful fountains, 3 of which stand out, the Fontana, and then they have the Fontana del Moro and the Fontana del Nicciuno. This here square is actually built on the ruins of the Stadium of Domitian, which was one of the famous theaters or exhibition grounds for the ancient Romans. It actually dates back to the 1st century AD when they played games here, in this place. But nowadays it's a popular place to visit, to take pictures, to hang out, and also people are looking now at the Trevi Fountain. This 18th century fountain is actually 86 feet high and the Trevi Fountain 161 feet wide. The name comes from the Latin word trivium, which actually means the intersection of 3 streets. The location of the Trevi Fountains is located on the aquifer of the Aqua Virgo, which actually led into Agrippa's Basilica. It served for over 400 years as an aqueduct for the basin. So you're looking at a crossroads on 3 different roads and the Virgo aquifer, and then we're heading to Castel San Angelo Street. Angelo, which was actually built as a mausoleum for the Emperor Hadrian, so he built it for himself, but it eventually became a fortress and castle for the popes of the Vatican. At one point, this building was actually the tallest structure in Rome. It is now a museum. The best way to approach this mausoleum is via the Tiber Bridge, which actually crosses the river Tibera Colosseum, and you'll see 2 statues of the Archangel Michael on either side. And then we're actually heading towards the world-famous Colosseum. It's the largest ever ancient amphitheaters ever built. So it's big, and it's an amazing elliptical amphitheater, and this is where they actually had gladiatorial fights and public performances where they hunted animals and where real gladiators fought each other to the death. They said that the stadium itself actually holds about 60,000 people for one of these shows. The Colosseum is actually built out of travertine limestone, which is a tough volcanic rock with concrete faced with brick. It was built under the Emperor Vespasian in the year 80 AD, so it's a very old structure. And next time I'm going to recommend the Tiber River. Go down to the Tiber River. Now you can walk here or you can take a boat. But what you'll see here is ancient Rome and how this tributary of the river actually contributed to the growth of this ancient city. Whatever the time of year, it's always a great time to go up and down the river here in the spring. It's best because of the blooming of the flowers. But the St. Peter's Cathedral, if you can try to take a boat ride up and down the river to see all the bridges. And now let's move on to the St. Peter's Basilica, and you have to go inside if you really want to see the amazing architecture. It was built between 1506 and 1626, so it took 120 years to build this basilica. And then immediately St. Peter's Square behind St. Peter's Basilica is St. Peter's Square. This is where the Pope usually addresses the Catholic world, and the significance of St. Peter's Square and the Basilica is that it's the place where St. Peter was actually buried, and it's not far from the Vatican, where the Sistine Chapel also. The lines here grow fast, so get here early. And now that the historical center comes to the neighborhoods, check out Centro Storico. There will be these old classic restaurants and stores and galleries, and just walking around here, you'll see how people lived, and still today people actually rent and live in the center of the historic, but remember, this is the heart and soul of Rome, very close to many of the major attractions. So if you can get an Airbnb here, or if you can stay in a hotel right here in the center of the historical, this would be a great place to stay. Historic, it's gonna be a great place where you're gonna really hear what it sounds like walking around here, so let's go ahead and do that now that the Spanish Steps. We're on the iconic Spanish Steps. It actually goes up the hill to Plaza España, Spain. And this area right here is historic because it goes back to the 1700s when they were actually built by a Frenchman named Ethan Guyfer, and the Trastevere Vatican Museums being in the Vatican. One of them is not necessarily a museum, it's a chapel, and it's called the Sistine Chapel. You look up on the roof and you'll see an amazing work of art painted by none other than Michelangelo. There are 26 museums inside of the Vatican, including the Gregorian Egyptian Museum, the Carriage Pavilion, Raphael's Room, the Spiral Staircase, and many more that you can also check out. Remember, there are 26 of them, so when you enter the Vatican, take your passport with you so that you will be allowed to process immigration. When you visit, the high-speed train, talking about my favorite things. Superfast train, I really like to take the superfast train from Rome and go to Florence and be there in about 2 hours, it's great. Or if I want to go south, I can get to Naples, so you can easily get to places like Florence or Naples from Rome, even if you just want to take a day trip, so be sure to check out those superfast trains like Trenitalia, Alta Fatherland. Now let's continue this tour and show you more of Rome. Now we are heading to the Altar of the Fatherland. It's impressive, the National Monument actually looks almost like it's the Capitol building. But it's actually a monument to Victor Emmanuel I, who was the first king of United Italy. It's really cool to see 2 Italian flags flying in the wind. And you can walk up the steps and it's quite an amazing journey. It's really picturesque and beautiful, so I recommend at least staying here. It's right next to the Roman Forum, so it's also conveniently located. And once you get to the top, you can walk inside and see what the Piazza Popolo going on inside. Next is Piazza del Popolo. It's actually right next to the Spanish Steps, so you can do both when you're in the area. It's about a 15 to 20 minute cab ride from the historic center. Also a big Egyptian obelisk, so you'll know you're there. In the square, when you see that, you can also see what it looks like from the air. Here is a pretty impressive place right in the center of the city. And now what we're actually going to do is head to the Roman Forum. To the Roman Forum, we're going to walk around this area. There's the Circus Maximus and the Old Town, so we're going to walk around and take a virtual tour. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to take you around this beautiful city here in Rome, this ancient metropolis, which is now a big modern metropolis. I would recommend at least 72 to 96 hours if you're going to stay in Rome. It's a must-see. Everyone should see it at least once in their life. The island hopping that will complete this episode of Rome, the best things to do now. We're actually heading to our next destination, which is Barcelona, so we'll see you guys in the next video, and thank you all for subscribing and joining Travel Vision Abroad.